Today we are going to talk about Princess EZAir, why people started using it, what the convenient parts of using Princess EZAir are, and really how it should work, how it's been working sometimes that we've been hearing about that cause problems, and just some things to be aware of if you're looking at using Princess EZAir. So let's go ahead and get started. Hi there, this is Allison with Let's Go Travel Tips, and today we are going to talk about everything to do with Princess EZAir because we are starting to hear trouble again, and I know that it happens here and there, and it happened a lot last summer with people booking their flights with Princess EZAir. They get ready to come home, but especially the return flights have not been paid for, so that no ticket has been issued, so you can't come home. So let's start at the top. First of all, really the reason that Princess EZAir is a handy way to travel, there are two things that make it attractive. First of all, often it is cheaper than booking the flights yourself, even on the same airlines. Princess EZAir is really nice from the standpoint that you get options that you can choose which airline you want out of what they've got to pick from and which flights you want out of what they've got to pick from. Now, for example, with Norwegian, you don't. You just get what they give you. And so it is nice with Princess. You can go through and choose what you would like to choose out of the options that they have available. That is really nice. And especially before COVID and right after the restart, truly their ticket prices were cheaper than you could go book yourself on the same airline on the same flight. And really, like I always say, we have been on 15 Princess cruises now, and it worked really smoothly for 14 of them. Actually 13 of them, because on the 15th cruise I didn't use Princess EZAir. The 14th was the one that we had trouble. So historically it has worked very smoothly. I honestly think that since the restart, Princess has been leaving it closer and closer to pay for those tickets. Now, of course, when you book your tickets with them, they don't always pay for them right then. That has never been the case, and that's okay. But when they leave it too close, then it costs them a lot more. So then, of course, then they look and see who's got the super cheapest flight to put you on, and then they put you on that. And then you're either stuck with that airlines, which is not what you had chosen, or they don't catch that they haven't ticketed you yet, which is what happened to Let's Go family members trying to get home from their transatlantic. So anyway, the reason they started was that people started using it is it had a better price. The second reason is the flexibility. When you book your Princess EZAir ticket, you can either do a flexible fare or a restricted fare. The restricted fare you pay for right when you book it, and you cannot make any changes to it. It is done. But if you book a flexible fare, you can make any changes that you want up until 45 days before you fly. So if you notice that the ticket has gotten cheaper on Princess EZAir, you can change it, you can redo it. If you decide that you wanted to stay, go a little bit earlier or stay longer where you end your cruise, whatever you want to change, you can change up until 45 days before you go, which is really nice. That's lovely. So it is very flexible. You've got that 45-day deadline that you can make any changes up until then. Final payment is due for your Princess EZAir flights when the payment is due for your cruise, okay? But still you can make changes up to that 45-day stop date, okay, before you go. Now, a few things to be aware of as you are looking at your travel summary, and I do have a video that shows you how to click through on the Princess website to print your travel summary if you're not familiar with that. When you print your travel summary and you have Princess EZAir flights, it will list your flight information there. Now, when we went last year to the Mediterranean and had trouble, before we went, we printed our travel summary and off we went, but we didn't worry about the fact, like we should have, that there were not ticket numbers inserted for the flights for our return trip. There were airline confirmation numbers, so the airline confirmation number that you get is what you can use. You put that number in, like with us it's Delta, we always use Delta. So you use that booking confirmation number that Princess will give you, and you link that with your a Delta account so that you can link your Sky Miles to it. Then it lets you go in and choose the seats that you want. It works just perfectly. And you can choose seats for flights that have that confirmation, but that haven't been ticketed yet. But if there is no ticket number, it has not been paid for. So you're okay without that until it's time to come home. And if it's not been paid for by then like our Let's Go family members experienced, you can't get on the flight. And so a couple of things to keep in mind about this. First of all, one of our Let's Go family members in the comments said that whenever she sees that there's no ticket number, she'll call Princess and stay on the phone until they ticket it. There's a couple of things about that. It sounds like she hasn't been charged extra for asking for that, requesting ticketing on her ticket. However, we have another Let's Go family member, actually more than one now that I think about it, who has requested ticketing after that 45-day stop date, then when you're within 45 days of flying, requested ticketing and been charged by Princess. Like one of them, I remember it was like $645. And I don't remember right off the other amounts, but they have been charged. It's because if that ticket costs more on that date than what you were paying, they make you pay the difference. And so to me, that's a hard thing because you want to have your tickets settled before you go, but if you request that ticketing, they can charge you extra money on it. At the same time, you also have the problem. Think of it this way, you're going to go on, you've got your flight set, you think, and you're going to go, and then when they come, they change the airline on you. When it comes time to pay for those, if it costs more, then they're just simply looking around and finding the airline that has the least expensive flights to get you home or to get you there if they haven't paid for that. And so they switch your flights. And right when you go to book a Princess EZAir flight, it says that they can change the flights and the airline on you. And so, and it didn't used to say it quite in the wording that it says now, so I think that that is a change. I couldn't tell you when that started, but it has been, it was in effect when we booked our tickets to the Mediterranean last year. So that was May of 2022. But anyway, so then they just look around and find whatever airline they want. That's how we were going to get stuck flying home on American, the airline that we didn't want, because we were going to have to pay all of these fees that we don't have to pay on Delta. And so with that knowledge, here are the things that I think that you need to think of to decide if Princess EZAir is for you, okay? First of all, honestly, absolutely, more often than not, it works just fine. It does. And so you have to kind of think in your mind if it drives you crazy enough for you to that you'll just go with the flow if your flights get changed. If your flight's getting changed, having to wait while they figure out how to how to redo your ticket if you get to the airport like these people did, and your flight is not ticketed and you can't get on the flight. If the potential for things like that to happen don't really drive you crazy and you can just roll with it, then I wouldn't worry about it. If you're more like me and I don't like that and I don't want to fly on an airline that I don't want to fly on, then it's probably something you should think of booking your own tickets. Another thing that I think is really important to note and really important to look at is since the restart, like right at the very beginning, they were able to get better flight prices for like Gordon and I. We always fly out of Salt Lake City anywhere we go in the world. And before COVID, their Princess EZAir flights were always way cheaper. But since we had that trouble, we have not booked a flight with Princess EZAir. We have looked every time just to kind of compare the prices, but every time we have been able to either get it for the same or a little bit cheaper with just booking the flights on our own. And truthfully, even if it was more, I'm to the point that I don't want my tickets screwed up. I don't want any problems with them. And so for the time being, as long as we're still hearing of these problems happening, I'm not going to book with Princess EZAir because I don't like that. And if I had not gotten a really excellent Princess rep on the phone last time when we were flying home from Barcelona, we would have flown home on American Airlines and been out. I looked at it after I was talking to you yesterday. It was about $900. We would have been out that much paying for seats on every leg of our flight home. And we're not fussy, but that was to get a seat. Okay, that was that was not to get a certain seat on the airplane. That was all the seats that were left were ones that cost extra. So we would have had to pay for that and to check our bags to come home. And so kind of think about like what bothers you and what doesn't. If that kind of potential for disruption in your travel doesn't bother you and you just roll with it, that's okay. And I admire that. I just don't have that in me. So that's one of the things. And another thing that I think is a good thing to think about is if you really can't decide what you're going to do with your travel plans, but you want some tickets, then it is really handy to have that 45-day, clear up to 45 days before you go. You can keep changing your flights. Okay, if you're just very, if things keep changing a lot with your plans, what you're going to do, how long you're going to, how early you're going to go before the cruise, how long you're going to stay after the cruise, you keep waking up in the air about it, that's a really good option for you as well, because it does add that flexibility. Now, most airlines since COVID are much more flexible than they used to be with if you're not able to take the flight that you buy a ticket for. It used to be that, if you didn't go on the flight, you lost your money pretty much, or you would have to pay a bunch of money to be able to switch the travel date. Nowadays, I know for sure with Delta, and I've checked on several other ones, they will give you an e-credit if you're not able to go, and then you just use it on another flight and just apply it to whatever flight you do want to take whenever you want to take the next flight that you want to take. And the other thing that they have is, I know that you can buy flight insurance, right? Like with Delta, when you book your tickets, you go through and you can choose if you want to book flight insurance. Interestingly enough, Delta does theirs with Allianz, Allianz, the travel insurance company that has been good for us so far. But and then if you have to cancel that flight for any reason, they actually give you the cash back. It's not even an e-credit, they just credit your credit card back. So that is a really nice thing that didn't exist before COVID. And so it really does give you more flexibility, because if anything happens that you have to cancel your cruise, then your flights are separate. So you're in control of that. You get the money back. You don't have to worry about Princess getting money back and trying to get the money back from them or anything else like that. It's just, you're just completely in charge of it. And I would also add the other really important thing that I think you need to think about if you want to use Princess EZAir or not is if any of your flights change while you are en route, you can call Princess at that 1-800-545-0008 phone number, and they will help you on the phone. It might take a while, might take a couple of phone calls, but they will help you with your flights. If you are someone that doesn't know how to manage your flights, how to get online, how to try to get a different flight, trying to call the airlines, you don't want to do that kind of thing if your flights get changed, then I would say use Princess EZAir as well, because it is a service. They will talk to you. It might be frustrating at times, but they will talk to you, and they do have some really amazing customer service reps there at Princess EZAir, like the one that I got that day that I really needed help. And so let us know below like what other questions you've got. Really pay attention to that ticket number. And if you're calling Princess and asking them to ticket your flight, ask before they do it, like, am I going to have to pay more? At least so you know, so you can make that choice and say, if I have you ticket that, is it going to cost me more? Before, rather than just saying ticket me and then you suddenly owe them a bunch more money. I think that's always nice to know in advance, and then you can make the choice if you want to do that or not. So it doesn't mean I'm against Princess EZAir. It means I think you should go into it with eyes wide open. I'm not going to use Princess EZAir again for a while. I don't see the benefit to me to do that. It doesn't bother me to, Gordon and I book our own flights. That's okay, and I feel like I am much more in control. When I book my flights, I pay for them, and then we're ready to go. So I would really, really appreciate hearing from all of you in the comments, or if you want to send me an email, whatever works easier for you. Like, share your experiences, share what might help everybody else here. It's hard, you know, I try to put as much information as I think of right off in a video, but then people ask more questions, and then that brings up more things to talk about. And so please do share your experiences, because it will help all of us. Let us know if you're using Princess EZAir. Have you used it lately? How has it gone? It's really interesting. As I book cruises for people, some people love Princess EZAir, they want to use it, because they've had such a wonderful experience with it. And then other people, you know, people have miles, they have favorite airlines, they have their own way of doing things. And so I don't think there's a right or a wrong. I think you just need to think about what maybe would work best for you. And it might vary by trip, right? Sometimes you have miles to use, sometimes you don't. All these other things to think about. So thanks for being here with us. We are in our hotel here at the Munich airport this evening. It's a Hilton. The lighting is just really odd in this room, and so that's why it looks a little bit different. But we're excited to get home. We've had the very best trip. We are really happy that we came, but we're ready to go home now. So we're really excited to get to go home again. So thank you all for everything that you share with all of us. You're amazing. You are truly like a family. We all pitch in together and try to help each other, and always with kindness. So I very much appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. We've been waiting for you to come and are so glad that you're here. If you appreciate these updates, would you please give this video a thumbs up? And I will be talking to you all again really soon. You all take really good care. God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye.